Jimmy Butler, he's a very interesting player to me.
He's like, oh, shoot, I don't know where to go with the ball because I haven't been able to think.
It was a great series. Game 4 was one of the best games I've ever watched in my entire life. Now LeBron's a 4-time champion, and Anthony Davis gets his first.
It's unacceptable. So happy when the Astros lost because it would definitely be a 2020 thing.
Yeah, I was impressed by their game. Braden Point, Andre Palat, Nikita Kucherov, that was the best line in the playoffs, no doubt.
Stay undefeated when they face the mighty Cowboys with Garrett Gilbert.
Hey everyone, I'm Jared Sandler, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our MLB Opinions of the Week. We talked about the Rangers struggling, and then you have a team that was leading their division, is now in the last wildcard spot, and with the Cincinnati Reds one game behind them. That, of course, is the New York Mets. So, Austin, how do you feel about your New York counterpart?
Not good currently. I mean, I've seen that Ryan Helsley, ever since he's been with the Mets, at least at the time of recording, has an 8.44 ERA and 3 losses to his name, which is not what you want from a closer that you just traded for at the trade deadline. They're at a concerning point also with the fact that they are, I think, only a game up above the Reds. The Reds have been playing decent recently, and so the Mets are really going to have to turn around. Now, they do have the players to do it. I mean, Lindor, Soto, and so many other players on their team have definitely had success previously, but they're 2-8 in their last 10. While Cincy is 5-5, so Cincy has been gaining ground, and like I said, they're only one game back. But the Mets definitely have to figure out something because, as it stands, at this rate, they're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and talking about the division, they've lost 6 games. The Philadelphia Phillies are 6 games ahead of them with 71 wins, and New York Mets are at 65 wins. And you talk about those blown leads. They were a team that got Ryan Helsley and really invested in their bullpen that I would say was that I liked with Edwin Diaz and Ryan Stanek. But now it just hasn't worked out that way. So they're 2-8 in the last 10. And it's just really tough with a bullpen. I think we talked about the Rangers yesterday. And it kind of reminds me of they had a great offense. Like you mentioned, the Mets, Lindor, Alonso, Soto. But if you can't keep the lead, it puts your team in a dangerous situation because you just have to keep scoring runs.
Yeah. And, I mean, the Mets went into the season with a lot of high expectations. They had just been in the LCS and lost to the Dodgers. Juan Soto had come off losing to the Dodgers in the World Series, and a lot of people, including myself, thought that they would be extremely competitive in the World Series kind of race. And I thought they would win their division. I believe I had them winning their division, but that's not how it's really looking at the moment. And while Juan Soto started the year struggling, he has been playing substantially better. I really do think it's the deadline acquisition and also a slower season from Lindor and some of the other guys on the roster that are currently keeping them from reaching their best potential.
Yeah, and I think it's just they're dealing with a rut, and maybe it is sort of the high expectations they got from the trade deadline and buying and not selling, because they're a team that of course, were in the NLCS, but a few years ago had 100 wins and were incredible. They faltered in the playoffs. So they're a team that's not used to these high expectations and keeping a lead in the division. So we'll have to see what happens, but
do you think they end up making the playoffs?
I'm going to say yes, because if you look at it, it is a pretty bad collapse since the past few games, but you have the Reds, but after the Reds, you have the Cardinals, and they're 5 games back from a wild card spot. So to me, the Mets will be able to fight, and it just comes down to them versus the Reds. Because if you look at the other teams in the NL, it goes Reds, Cardinals sold at the deadline, Giants sold at the deadline, Diamondbacks sold at the deadline. There are not that many teams that are surging up compared to the AL, where you have the Rangers, Royals, and Guardians all competing for that final wild card spot, along with the Yankees.
Yeah, I could see the Reds overtaking them, but I will say that the Mets end up getting the playoff spot. Their experience, I think, will definitely create the difference that will push them over the edge because the Reds are still a very young team in a lot of aspects, even though they do have Terry Francona as their manager.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing as well, is not just the experience of the Mets, but the Reds' inexperience, because they're still a young team. Terry Francona, this is his first year with them. So I don't trust in them being able to get those final steps. I could be wrong, but any final thoughts?
No, I think that the Mets will get it done, but they are making it a lot more scary than it probably should have been.
Yes, I think that's a great thing to talk about, as they really could have just kind of kept doing well, but they faltered, and now they've lost the division and lost the home field advantage currently. Maybe they surge back, but the Phillies have been playing incredibly well. So let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.